So today, I'm John Williams. I'm a casting director, and today we have Andrew Davies Gaines. Andrew Davies Gaines is a Los Angeles-based producer, writer, and director whose journey has taken him from the world of professional sports to the heart of filmmaking. Drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays at just 18 years old, his Major League Baseball dreams were cut short by an injury, redirecting his drive and discipline towards storytelling. Very strange coincidence there. As a producer, Andrew has helped bringing bold, emotionally resonant films to life at major festivals including South by Southwest, Pink Skies Ahead, and Tribeca, Changing the Game, collaborating with acclaimed talent such as Anya Taylor-Joy, Michael Shannon, Emma Roberts, and Ewan McGregor. Now, with the Danny Gans story, Andrew steps into the role of writer and director to tell his most personal story yet, the life of his father, Las Vegas legend Danny Gans. Through intimate storytelling, unseen footage, and deeply human reflection, the film honors a man whose faith, humor, and artistry inspired millions. This project marks an exciting new chapter for Andrew as he continues to bridge the gap between independent and studio cinema, bringing intimate, character-driven stories with universal themes to audience on a grand scale. Pretty good? Thank you. Dude, yeah, it's really funny because I saw a moment in the film where you were saying happy birthday to your dad and you were like doing an impression, kind of like you were being an impressionist.
Yeah, I was being goofy, probably trying to like do something that he had done at the
Exactly. And I was like, oh God, he's emulating him. And then to read that you were in baseball and that you kind of followed his same path, which was super interesting. But let's go back to the beginning, because a lot of times when you see a family member do a documentary on their family member, it wasn't as well crafted as yours, shot as well as yours, edited as well, had such great storytelling. And I was like, dude, this guy knocked it out of the park for his first one. And then I looked back and I was like, oh shit, he's a filmmaker. Because you sent it and I watched it first. So my dad's a singer too, and I went into entertainment. So I just want to kind of see what, because I couldn't sing, right? So I was like, well, fuck, I can't do that. So I'm gonna go this way. So where did it all start for you?
Um, honestly, well, it goes back even further than that because my dad's dad, my grandfather, was a professional baseball player, and then he had a career-ending injury, and he went into entertainment. He was a comedian and a singer, and
Well, I saw that, but was it more like was it he became a professional comedian and singer? Because you didn't go in too much to his career.
no, I mean, our first cut of the film was like 3.5
Of
hours.
course.
We had a lot of stuff to get rid of, and that was part of it going into more of his career and how his perceived failures may have influenced how hard he was on my dad because he was kind of living vicariously through my dad as like a second chance.
Yeah.
And he really tried to drive into my dad this work ethic that he succeeded.
Yeah.
That work ethic was my dad's greatest strength and also
His greatest, yeah. And do you think it was the Pappy, right? Was his name? Do you think Pappy was because of his not making it to a certain level that he was kind of passing the torch and saying this is what you need to make it?
yeah, he saw his failures, he saw the flaws. He had a bit of a drinking problem, and I think that got in the way of him really succeeding and reaching his full potential. And he wanted my dad to avoid that at all costs. He wanted my dad to look back and have no regrets, no what ifs, just, if you're going to go for it, don't half-ass it.
Right.
Give it everything you got. And I got to watch my dad do that. And he laid out this beautiful blueprint for me. But in the end, those last few years where his health started to really, fail him, he still had that drive and he pushed himself more than his body could take.
Yeah.
And eventually,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what all pro, like, A players do, right? All athletes, right? So when did you, or how did you get to like, okay, I'm going to follow this path in entertainment, or like,
well, baseball was the first.
yeah,
And
which was because of probably your grandfather and your dad. You're like, okay, I'm going to follow this. Well, but your dad already kind of made it at that point, or was like doing.
when I started really loving baseball, my dad was on the road a lot. He was doing the corporate stuff
Yeah.
at that time. That was like mid 90s, late 90s. and I had started like just really developing this passion for baseball and sports in general. And he worked with me at it, and I discovered that I was, really good at it. And so it became my goal is to make it to the major leagues and be a professional baseball player. And luckily, I was able to get drafted out of high school by the Tampa Bay Rays. And shortly after that, I had a career-ending shoulder injury. I had a series of shoulder injuries, but this final one was basically the end of my career. I tore my labrum in my right shoulder, my throwing arm, 3 times, and by the end of it, it was just like, you're done.
Do you feel that you went for that dream because of what happened? Because your dad kind of had a similar, right? And then Pappy wanted to be. And do you feel like you were like, that was like, because I think about that with my dad, like what motivated me to not do something completely different, right? But were you like, well, was it, I don't want to get too personal, but do you think if it's like, if I make it as a baseball player, my dad's going to see that because that was his dream. He's going to see that as such an accomplishment.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible that that contributed to it because he talked about it and introduced the sport to me with such passion. And he would tell me all these stories, and it was kind of infectious. And as a kid, you always want to make your dad proud. You always want to, you know,
No, yeah.
and there's a sense of competition too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I get, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And there was
I'm fucking Sammy Sosa, bro.
and he encouraged it. He was also competitive with me, but in a very loving, like healthy way.
Yeah.
Always telling me like, "Hey, you have more God-given ability than I did. You have the talent to make it. You just got to put in the
You gotta do the discipline,
put
yeah.
in the effort.
Yeah.
You've been given all the tools. Now you got to sharpen it, refine it, and take it as far as you can." And unfortunately, injuries kept me off the field, and I had to pivot. But
Did you see the similarities at that point? Were you?
I saw the parallels.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's no effing way I'm gonna, try to do.
Yeah, yeah, and sing, yeah. Do you have a voice? Okay,
I
okay.
wish I wish I could sing, but it's not in the cards for me. But I had always loved films, and films were very comforting to me growing up, even when I was a very young kid. I wasn't like, some of my favorite directors now who grew up with a camera in their hand,
Yeah, yeah.
making films at 8 years old. I was on the baseball field playing, but I had always loved film. And then after I had my injury, I started thinking more about like, how are films really made? And, how are they written? How are they put together? How are they shot? And so I just started to take an interest in it and started taking acting courses. And I got an agent.
Were you in LA?
I moved back from Las Vegas to LA shortly after my dad passed, and I started, pursuing a career.
Where'd you take class?
I started off at Leslie Kahn,
Yep.
which is like a comedy.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I do. I was 30 years in LA. I took them from all of them.
My first ever class was a program at the New York Film Academy.
Yep.
And
It
then
was a Meisner program, right? Or no?
I did a
Meisner?
Meisner class, which was at a little studio in North Hollywood that I don't think is there anymore.
Okay.
It's literally like the Meisner studio.
Yeah,
And it was a crash course into like really dramatic acting. And I learned a great deal from there. And then I went from there and I did like a scene study course with John Kirby
yeah.
in Hollywood. And I learned a ton.
It's super important for filmmakers to even, I think, start there.
Yeah, and at that time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just had this urge to express myself creatively. My dad had just passed away. I had just lost like my lifelong dream of being a baseball player, and I was going through a lot.
Dude, such a fucking hard moment, dude.
And I needed an outlet to like express myself because naturally, I had a hard time opening up.
Yeah, yeah.
Just as me.
Yeah.
And so I felt like this was subconsciously maybe a way for me to process some of that and deal with it and get out there in a community or a class environment that's supportive.
Were you able to, like, that was, I had so much like inner imagination and pain and stuff, right? So I thought, okay, acting's it. But the thing about acting is you're a raw nerve and you're vulnerable, And so there's that juxtaposition. Were you able to break through that, or was it like,
It took me a while. I think once I got the reps in, I did I did have really good solid
okay,
performances. I felt good about what I was doing on stage or in auditions. I had gotten to the point where I got an agent and a manager, and I was going up for some solid stuff, and I'd booked some small roles and got some commercials kind of thing. But shortly after that, I was like, this really isn't
fucking same parallel as your dad? Like this fucking wow, this is crazy. Okay,
like fulfilling me. And I feel very self-aware,
yeah,
not so much self-conscious, but like if I'm in an audition, I'm very self-aware of like being in the audition. I'm watching myself
yeah,
almost like in third person. And so I was like, this just isn't feeling right. And I wasn't getting very good auditions. So I took that writing course at the New York Film Academy, and it just opened my mind to so many other
yeah.
possibilities. And I was like, wow. So I could write my own stuff. I don't have to just take these auditions for
Cop number 3. Yeah,
yeah, cop number 3 or student film or, Carl's Jr.
yeah. I have limited taste buds because I did a Carl's Jr. commercial with Banaka, and they kept making me fucking do it over and over. And now I don't have like half my tongue. Anyway, dude, go
I
ahead.
did a Gatorade commercial, and I swear to God, I had like over a gallon of Gatorade.
Ugh.
But
When you do food too, they're like, you spit it in the bucket, and you're like, no, I'll be fine. Like after like 30 minutes, you're like, dude, why didn't I spit in the bucket?
yes, exactly. But luckily, the Gatorade commercial, I drove back from Coachella the night before, so I was kind of dehydrated.
That's amazing. Okay, so we're in commercials. Keep going. Sorry, I derail a lot. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. But and so I discovered writing, and I was just enamored with it. So I was reading all sorts of screenwriting books. I went to like Samuel French bookstore. Is that even?
I don't know, but I've been spent many an hour there. Yeah. Right by Rock and Roll. I used to live by Rock and Roll Ralph's and the Guitar Center, and there was Samuel French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go there after acting class all the time, and I would just get any script I could get my hands on, and I would just try to understand the formatting, the structure of scripts, and then I was reading books like Robert McKee and Chris Vogler and Michael Haig, and I was really just taken by it. And then I got with a couple friends, and I produced a short film. I was like, this feels way better.
Yeah.
I feel so much more fulfilled doing this than I do acting. And that's when I kind of segued. And that was probably, I was like 21 at the time, and I decided to go back to school. And I got into the Chapman film program.
Yeah, yeah. I know that one. I auditioned there a few times. Yeah, I know. That's a good one too. It's good. Yeah.
The Hollywood Reporter always comes out with the rankings every year. I think they're always like solidly in the top 10.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience, and things started moving really quickly. And I finished my first year at Chapman, but I had gotten this really great opportunity to be an executive producer on a production that was shooting in Ireland. It had Anya Taylor-Joy in it. It had Finn Cole in it. It had a couple other great actors, and I jumped at the opportunity, and I left school, and one thing led to another. That film, came out. And
Well, EP is a great way to enter too, because it's like you get to have a voice at the table, but you're not necessarily super responsible for everything.
I
Yeah.
got to see everything firsthand. I was on set every single day. I was just determined to soak as much in as I possibly could. And that I learned
It's like your master's program for Chapman. Yeah.
exactly. I learned more in those, 3 or 4 weeks being in Ireland on set every day, and then being able to be part of the post-production process than I did in, the whole year I spent at Chapman prior to that. And that's no knock on Chapman, because
Yeah, when you're training to do that and that opportunity comes, like you jump on it. Yeah.
a knock on film school. I hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, film school is worthless," and blah blah blah. I would say if you're going to go to film school, you 100% should minor in business,
Yeah.
because so many people that go to film school, like myself, they come out and they have no idea how the business folks. They know how
Dude.
they maybe know how to point to camera and, you know, run audio, and edit. But it's like, how are you going to get your film out there?
Yep.
How your investors, their first question is going to be,
ROI.
how am I getting my money back?
Yep.
And if you can't answer that, you're going to have.
I was sitting with a big actor, I'm not gonna say his name, and we were at a table with the producer, and he was like, "Why'd you hire me?" And he was like, "Well, you're worth 400,000 in Japan. You're worth 350," and and it was he was like, "Oh, okay, damn, all right." It's getting more and more. I don't think they're legit.
People hide them. They keep it under lock
Yep.
and key. Like, why?
It doesn't matter anymore because like look at Horizon. He's worth, like, and it didn't it's this I don't even get me started like on the game now, dude. Yeah.
But it's definitely a challenge. And one thing led to another after the Ireland experience. That film was called Here Are the Young Men. And it just kind of slowly progressed from there. I'm not going to say it took off because I haven't had like any breakout like hits, but the experiences on making these like independent, smaller budget films, like the tier 1 type films, like, 2 to 4, 2 to 5.
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of the sweet spot.
It was a tremendous experience. And by the time I got to the point where I wanted to start making this documentary, I felt like I finally had enough experience and enough confidence that I could do this and do the film justice and really honor my dad the way that I felt he deserved. And that's why I decided to start what I did.
But it's a turn. It's a doc, right? So was there concern about not knowing that the art of that?
I had been an EP on a documentary prior to that, and I got a small glimpse into the process, but I worked with a lot of people that were on that.
Okay.
Too, and I brought them over to do voices with me, and that really helped because I had a rapport with them. I felt comfortable and confident with them, and they bought into the vision and the way I wanted to make the film, and it was pretty easy. The hardest part for me was going into the start of production. I had a different idea of how I wanted to make the film than what you end up seeing.
So yeah, let's go back to that where you started and how because first it's to make the decision of like I'm gonna be like we said I'm gonna be vulnerable and I'm gonna expose my whole family. Yeah. So how did you go about that process? Did you talk to everybody first, or how did you get? I don't know if it's courage, but just get up the chutzpah.
Well, it was the 10th anniversary of my dad's passing, and my family and I we get together every year for dinner.
Yeah.
And just being the 10th year, it felt like it was hard to believe that so much time had passed. And I was looking back at the way that he was remembered in Las Vegas specifically, and I was pretty upset by the way that the city seemed to just really move on very quickly.
Yeah.
And my dad had accomplished so much there. He achieved things that hadn't been done before. And
I mean, just so people know, your dad was like number one in Vegas for 10 years. Like,
yeah, I mean, the highest honor you can get in Las Vegas is the Entertainer
Yep.
Award. And he won that award 12 years in a row.
Yep.
Among other awards.
Yeah.
He outdrew, the Rat Pack and Elvis combined.
Yeah.
In Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And it was the most expensive ticket. It was the ticket in most demand.
Yep. Sold out. Yeah.
And he sold out every single show, I think, for like almost 8 years consecutively. That was his longest streak.
If you don't know how hard that is and what an accomplishment that is, I mean, it's massive.
It's different too, because when you're touring, when you're an artist and you're touring around the world or around the country, you're going to different cities at the time. But when you're in one place and you have the biggest showroom in town at the time, and you're just relying on tourists coming in and coming to your show based on word of
mouth. Yep. Well, not only that, it's a revolving. I mean, it's a make or break town, right? Like butts in seats, or you're out of here, buddy.
Yeah, they do not mess around. If you're not bringing in enough money, if you're not bringing in enough people,
yeah,
so that after they leave your show, they're hitting the casino floor.
Yeah, you're competing with so much other stuff. Cirque du Soleil, the Blue Man Group, like so much other nationally recognized stuff, right? That is touring as well. Like I watched that and I was just like, dude, this is such a fucking huge accomplishment. So props to your dad. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I made it. I was like, he did some incredible things, and he passed, and the city, they honored him, but it was just kind of came and went. There is no Danny Gans statue. There is no Danny Gans Boulevard, and I was like, what can I do to kind of?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so what was the idea at the beginning? You said it changed.
It was very simple. I was like, I would just want to tell Dad's story, and I went to my mom and I said, this is what I feel like very strong about. I'm needing to do this. And she was a little hesitant because there's so much sensitive stuff in the film.
That was her fear, was like, okay.
The way that people would perceive it and how it's so easy when you're talking about the sensitive stuff to just jump to conclusions and really not look at the.
But you did a great job at doing that too, because you could have easily just been like, oh, it's addiction, right? But my girlfriend's a psychiatrist and we watched it together and she was really impressed with how you were able to explain the difficulty of the situation. Yeah.
It's very misunderstood and it's different for every person, which is why it's kind of so hard to identify and just nail down. It's not like one thing.
Yeah.
But once I started making the film, I realized very clearly that I was in for a ride myself, and that I'd be doing the audience and myself a disservice if I didn't include my journey.
Yeah.
Making the film.
What made you realize that?
The first day of shooting.
Yeah.
I was so emotional. I was so happy that I was able to bring this story to life finally. And I was talking to people that worked with my dad that really admired him. And I just felt like I was learning things about him, and I needed to make that part of the film.
Yeah.
And it gives the audience member something more tangible to like follow.
Yeah, no, because then it's just a fluff piece, right? It's just like, my dad did this and this and this. Yeah.
Not what I wanted to do. And so this is a way, because I was learning so much about it.
Yeah.
And I was getting to have those extra years with him because I didn't get to say bye.
Yeah.
On my own terms. And this is kind of my way of doing it.
Yeah, your love letter, yeah. So did you the moment where you're like, hey guys, we're gonna make a different film?
Yeah. They were all very supportive, and I was like, basically all we need to do is bring a third camera in here and shoot a lot of verite type stuff.
Yeah.
Put a camera on me as I'm interviewing the other people and just make me a little bit of a character. And I don't want to steal anything. I don't want to take focus away from my dad, but I want to be telling the story.
Well, it's also such an interesting story that hasn't been told, which is like how the family has to go through the life of a famous, massive entertainer. And that's what I think was super interesting, was getting to see your journey through, and maybe it's because I'm biased because my dad's a singer, but it was almost like I could relate, and it was just like, oh, this story's never told. The story of, this is all the accomplishments, this is who this person is, but the story of like how the family's affected by, or the journey too, Yeah. It was a great decision, I think.
The amount that my dad had to travel in those early years when he was doing all the corporate dates, my mom at home with us three kids, and my dad being on the road like 220 days a year. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you keep a family together?
Yeah.
And that really starts to wear you down. And that's why he was so adamant about getting to Vegas or getting to some place that he could stay, go to work at night, come home every night. And that was like, getting Vegas was a blessing. And, but still, even then, growing up, you're going to school every day, and I go to school at 8 in the morning or whatever, and get home early in the afternoon. He's getting ready for work, and he's leaving, like,
Yeah.
as I'm coming in. So our relationship, um, it was very it was very strong, and I always knew that he loved and supported me and believed in me and encouraged me to just do and chase whatever I wanted, in my life. But that quality time was very precious.
That's the most
What?
valuable thing we have is our time. I tell people that all the time. Like, yeah, yeah. That's yeah. It's the most important precious commodity we have is time. Yeah. So that first day the camera turns on you, did you say, "Shit, what did I do?"
I was like telling myself, you pursued acting for a little while. You know what this feels like. Just, ignore that it's there and just do your job.
Yeah.
But my job was so hard because directing a movie is hard,
Yep.
but being the son of the subject is also hard. And being on camera while you're doing both of those things makes it feel very vulnerable.
Yep.
And it like was very anxiety inducing. And I really had, I really was conflicted a lot with how I was going to utilize and share this information. And it was just, I was having like this crisis.
I mean, were you juggling the fact of like, I don't want to say it's manipulation. You're like, okay, well, I got to tell this story. Do I tap into this because it's going to tell a better story, or do I let it unfold? Like, how much manipulation as a filmmaker was that going on in your head? Not that you did that, but just like, I would be like, when you see something, you're making, like, I made a documentary recently, and it's like, you see pain, you're like, oh, that's golden. You know what I mean? And it's not that I'm that person. It's just, as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into perspective because it's so personal.
Dude, it's like fucking,
Um,
like,
like when I'm hearing
the complexity
all of
just,
his
yeah.
struggles, like with his health and really understanding what chronic pain is and how it was treated back then, I
And
was
did you know that information before, or was that real-time information for you?
some of it was real time, some of it I knew vaguely and got a lot more detail on. So like you see me learn a lot on camera, like in real time. And it is and that was what was so hard because it's you're learning things about your hero that makes them look very human.
Mhm.
And I had to do that on camera.
Yeah.
And that was something I was not very comfortable with.
No.
But I felt like it was worth it. And
The bravery of that, right? Even in the moment being like, "I don't know that I can expose this right now."
yeah, and that's where
Yeah.
I had a lot of conflict because I felt like if I included this, I was betraying him by kind of showing people his flaws or his weaknesses. And ultimately I had spoken to my mom, I spoke to my sisters and my wife about it and some of
And
his
you spoke to him on camera a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
'em. Yeah.
I spoke to my dad's drummer, who was his longest standing band member. They had been together for over 25 years. And I just said to him, what do you think he'd want me to do here? And they all gave me the confidence and the assurance that my dad wouldn't want me to feel burdened with any kind of secrets.
Yeah, yeah.
And ultimately, I felt like in death, he's able to share more about himself and inspire people and teach people
Yeah.
and make people feel less alone. Like chronic pain's a real beast
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
very misunderstood.
No, I have a stepmom that's in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's varying degrees of it, but it's really hard for someone to understand because everyone knows what it's like to feel pain. Like you fall, you bang your knee, you break a leg or whatever. But if you have a back pain, a shoulder pain that is excruciating and it's going to last the rest of your life,
Well, that's what that guy says. He's like, you to understand that it's just there's never ending.
it's never ending. Like
Yeah.
that psychological The psychological toll that that would put on someone, I can't imagine.
It happens to me for 5 minutes, and I'm like, "If this lasts forever, I can't fucking take it."
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like, what are you gonna do?
yeah,
You have physical therapy, that's not working.
not working, yeah,
You have all these other, remedies that those aren't working, and then somebody prescribes you this really strong medication, and
and that works.
they're like, "Try this." And you're like,
Not only
"Holy
that,
cow, this
right?
is."
Most people are just at home dealing with it, right? Your dad, "Hey, man, you gotta go up
Mhm.
110%,
Yeah,
4 nights a
exactly.
week." Yeah,
Exactly, and he had a huge amount of, um, responsibility. He felt very responsible for the people in that worked in his band,
yep,
that worked in the showroom, because the way that his contract was, structured, he he took care of all the ushers, all the people in the box office.
it was like his, small business basically
Yeah,
for a big business for him,
he
yeah,
took care of the whole band, and but if he didn't work, they didn't work,
yep,
and if he's not getting paid, they're not getting
yeah,
paid.
yeah.
And so he felt a huge amount of responsibility to them and to
Fuck,
the
dude, that
audience,
pressure.
and he pushed himself, that work ethic that I was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
that commitment.
Well, that's also enough, and you've seen it time and time again for an entertainer to get mixed up with substance. Just the pressure alone, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, and it's not like it was ever a recreational thing.
No,
It
no,
was always for pain management,
yeah,
and but when you're given those strong medications, it's just natural. Like, you're going to grow to become dependent on them.
that's 1, and 2, it is a solution, you
Mhm.
know? It's like, "Okay, this works. Okay, I
Yeah.
found a solution."
Yeah, and at the
Yeah.
time, there was very little research done on the long-term effects
Was
of
this
of
late
those
90s
drugs.
or
This was, like, early 2000s.
so this is like the oxy epidemic at that time too, which everybody was like, "Oh, we found something that works."
Mhm.
And
Like,
that was highly addictive.
yeah, this started in, I believe, 2007,
Right.
and he passed in 2009.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, dude, just thinking about all the pressure on him and then to find something that's relief, it's like, why would you not, you know?
Mhm.
Why would you not do it? So back into your journey, one, you got amazing interviews. Like everybody like stepped up and came to what were some of the things that you learned through that process about your dad? Because it's so different between your dad and your friends and your peers, right?
Yeah, yeah. One of the interviews that always sticks out to me that I remember so fondly was when I got to sit with Louis Anderson.
Dude, that's a strong interview for sure.
He he just was so vulnerable and so present during that interview. I was so grateful and so blown away because I did not expect that at all. And he kind of laid down the gauntlet for me. And at the beginning of the interview, he was like, you can do this one of two ways: the easy way or the hard way.
Yeah,
And he was just really encouraging me to do it the hard way because it's going to be the most rewarding for me and for the audience. And that's what my dad would want.
yeah,
And he just had such great insight on what performers go through, that pressure and that anxiety. But on the other side of that is the greatest feeling in the world of getting a standing ovation, hearing that adoration from the
yeah,
crowd, the laughter. And it made a lot of sense because that alone is addicting.
yeah, yeah,
That
100%.
alone is enough to get you to do your show, to perform through pain, even when you probably, shouldn't be out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and he that interview is interesting because it's almost like and did you do it early on or later in the process?
Louis' interview was right in the middle.
Right in the middle,
That was
because
probably like our 3rd trip to Vegas.
yeah, he explained and articulated so well the journey that you were about to go on in the film, you
Mhm.
know? And it was like, "Oh, this is different than just a fluff piece about an entertainer."
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and he held silence really well too.
he did.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was very committed to it, and the way that he talked about his perception of my dad and just the way that he performed, he was very articulate, and it was very emotional. So I'm very grateful to him, and he unfortunately passed like a
Yep.
year after I
Yeah.
interviewed him, so he never got to see the final film, which is disappointing, but I'm very grateful to him for just showing up and giving it everything he had.
Was there a lot of, like, fun stories that you didn't know about your dad or moments and stuff that you got to hear about, or
Yeah, I mean, my dad's drummer, he would always tell stories about how they'd, just goof around on the road and go see other people's shows and support them, and just kinda gave me an idea of who my dad was. 'Cause as a kid, you only see
Yeah, 100%.
a certain side of your parents.
Yeah.
You see, the parent, the disciplinary person, and you don't really get a chance to be friends with them.
Yep.
And I felt like he passed at a time that was really close to where I could maybe develop a friendship with my dad.
Yeah.
I was 18, 9, almost I had just turned 19 when he passed. So, a couple years from there, I would have really been able to develop a solid friendship and see a different side of him. But getting a chance to know like the goofy side, the guy that was going out there and just cracking jokes and hanging out with the guys on the road, that was always fun.
Was he a ham at home too, like, with you guys?
Oh yeah, like annoyingly,
I can yeah.
like
I mean, we probably all do that to our kids. It's
oh
like
yeah,
it's
like
a captive
waking me
audience.
up waking me up doing these damn impressions. I'm like, "Dad, please, just do it for the people who pay to see you."
Yeah. That's funny.
And, he would test out material on us, which shockingly sometimes wasn't very good,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, "Save that one. Keep working on that." But, he was a perfectionist, and nothing made it into the show unless it was ready.
Oh, he was meticulous about every beat, every moment,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and always crafting. And then when I heard that if you went to a show on Tuesday, it was different than the show on Wednesday, that, like, and to be that sort of, meticulous about that performance, and to, it's like when stand up, you have to craft every tweak a word changes things,
Mhm.
but to have that much performance, perfected, you know?
Yeah, I think he had roughly 3 hours of material that he could pull out at any
Yeah.
moment, and he structured his show very meticulously, like you said, um, and he wants to take you on a ride. He wants to start off really hot and fast and get the energy up in the room, and then, kinda bring you down a little bit, but always working up to this, like, crescendo, this
Yeah.
climax, and he would walk out, and within the first 5 minutes, he would know what kind of audience it was.
Yeah.
And he had about, like, 3 or 4 moments, planned throughout the course of the show where he would read the audience, see what they're responding to so far, and then he would signal to the band what direction they were gonna
Gonna
go in
go, yeah.
and what material they were going to use. So, he could probably craft 9 or 10 completely different shows.
Yeah.
There would be some overlap.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he would start the same. The first 5 minutes are the same, and then, the second 10 might be a little different.
Yeah.
And he would have those built in so that he could, make sure that whatever the audience was that night, they got what he felt they really
Yeah,
wanted.
yeah. I mean, he had dude, like, I was blown away at, like, the Amway stuff and some of the corporate stuff. I mean, those were massive stadiums.
Yeah, there was, like, I think Amway was 22,000. Crazy like that, and
Yeah.
that was a regular thing. He would perform for those huge audiences, and that was back when, he was super talented and really refining his craft, but
Yeah.
nobody knew
No.
who he was.
No, that's was the crazy part, because it's like everybody did, but since he wasn't in the zeitgeist or on the TV, it never connected, you know?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I was thinking too about a show, like, how, and I was thinking, like, why it probably hit so hard is that a lot of all those iconic people that we all know and love, and those songs, it's like when you're at a club and you're, like, drunk and a song comes on, you're like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like, "Oh, I get it now." He's hitting on these emotions and these connections and these sort of, like, moments we all have in our life, and I could see how people would just love that, because you get to take them through, this journey of all these songs and these people that we love, you know, which is super smart, man. Like, you
Yeah.
know, and like to be able to play it, because most people, comedians are like, I played a corporate event, and it was hell. But
Yeah.
like everybody could resonate and identify with them, you know, or connect with them.
Yeah, it's like seeing 20 of your or actually more like 100 of your favorite artists
Yeah.
and and your favorite song of theirs in one night.
Yeah.
And,
Done by one guy.
yeah, done by one guy and a couple band members.
Yeah.
But back then, being an impressionist was not a sexy thing.
No, it was kind of, I mean,
It's probably
mine's
still not a sexy thing, but he
I
kind
mean,
of made
I would put it like with a magician, maybe, you know, or
yeah.
something like which Vegas made magicians cool
Yeah,
too.
but
Yeah.
he kinda made it cool, and he did it in a way that really appealed to a wide audience. He kept his show pretty clean.
Yeah.
He wasn't, like, up there, cussing or anything like that, and he really just brought the energy, but I think what really set him apart was how he structured the show. He really had an intuitive ability to craft structure and make sure that these beats really hit, and taking you on that ride up and down, and,
He was
that was amazing the way he did that, and Donny Osmond, um
he's produced it, right? Or he
yeah,
produced them?
my
Yeah.
dad he helped bring Donnie and Marie to Vegas, and they had a long, successful run there, and my dad produced their show and worked with them on structure and how to introduce songs and how to really appeal to the Vegas crowd, and I think that my dad was obviously very naturally talented and he worked really hard, but his ability to understand the structure and how to format his show, I think, was why he was able to sustain it for so long because everything was intentional. Every
Yeah.
single word was intentional.
There's that moment where he's like, "Well, if we go this way or we go that way, let's do this moment this way."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. But that wouldn't have been that way had he not had all those grinding years, traveling,
Yeah.
doing all the corporate gigs.
Crafting it. It's
Yeah.
learning your craft. It's 10,000 hours.
Yeah, exactly. He probably had 10,000 shows.
Yeah, totally. So for you, was this journey like you didn't probably have any awareness of his work ethic, or I mean you knew because he was gone, he worked really hard, but like the difficulty of like learning so intimately about your dad and his work ethic and all that stuff. How was that? How's that changed you? How was that journey for you? Like just the discovery.
I always knew that he was a very hard worker and he had the great work ethic. What I really took away from this, and this kind of sounds backwards, but I really appreciated learning about his failures
Yeah.
because I saw him as a kid growing up as like this Superman who never failed, never
Made it
faltered.
look easy.
Because, being entertainer of the year 12 years in a row, you're just skyrocketing. And learning that he stumbled along the way kind of made him a bit more human. And I think going into this, I have a lot of ambition and a lot of, big dreams for my own career. But I felt like an incredible amount of pressure to live up to that
Yeah.
and to like compete with that. And this kind of gave me it maybe a little more permission to stumble. I felt
Yeah.
like before I had to be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, that's super interesting because I didn't think about because you know, 12 years entertainer of the year, top of your game. Like you just think like it's a gift or it's just like, oh, he's just of that level, or like you don't think about failures at all. You don't think about like the internal, maybe even like insecurity of like, you know, what if I fall? What if I fail? But like
Yeah.
allowing yourself to fail too, which is brave.
Yeah, trying because when you're out there, so you're on stage, it's just you and
Yeah.
you're giving it all you got.
Yeah.
And if you stumble and you fall or you fail, you have a bad show,
And
that's
fuck,
going to
dude, most people can't do a
that's
toast.
going to
Most
sting.
people
Yeah,
can't stand up and do a fucking toast.
seriously. And when he went to Broadway, imagine that opportunity
Yeah.
at that time in
Yeah.
his career when he was looking for something stable. Vegas was not even a thought.
No.
And to go out there to put all that work and effort in for this amazing opportunity, and then the audience loved him,
Yep.
but the critics kind of didn't understand him and they ripped him apart.
I know why. I mean, they're snooty. They hold it in such a high regard, and they hold it to be this like pinnacle. I face this a lot in the documentary world, and you might face this. It's like there's kind of a highbrow sort of culture within the people that are sort of like I don't know, the gatekeepers of certain things, and my friend did a really successful documentary, and he felt that, he with a super famous person, similar to what you're going through, and they were like, "Well, it's not a real documentary," It's like it's not Ken Burns,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's that's something I am starting to experience, and that's a whole other ball game. But
Yeah,
it is challenging. It's very frustrating. You put your heart and soul into these things, and you feel like you really have something good, and it's just it's so hard to get it out there
it's
and
so
make
hard.
sure that it's seen by the audience that you want it
Well,
to be seen
there's
by.
a parallel here, right? He was in Broadway doing that. It's like you have to find that audience
Mhm.
that understands the value and the quality and that will be, you know, the same. I mean, the same people that like, most of America has probably seen your dad,
Yeah.
and they would probably love this doc, and it's because of the way it is. It's so hard to find an audience. We're gonna wrap up here soon, but I want to talk a little bit about like the editing and putting it together. Like, how was that for you?
I loved that part. I really loved the 2 women that I worked with in the edit. Kate Hackett and Jamie Conklin were hugely helpful and great collaborators, and they really believed in the type of movie that I wanted to make, and, I feel like those sessions getting in to the edit with them was just so much fun, and we discovered a lot of
That's where the movie's made.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really was, and I when I first, started editing, I had kind of I'd written a really detailed outline of everything that I wanted, interviews, specific, lines and here and there and beats, and I just handed that over to the editor, and we would talk weekly, and I just wanted to kind of get her fresh set of eyes on it and to kinda see where her instincts were, and then after we kinda had an assembly, I dove in, like, really hands-on, and we kind of just went beat by beat, putting it together, and then I started working with the second editor, Jamie, and we started adding new footage that we had been shooting and really refining, and we probably edited the film for about a year, off and on,
Yeah.
and it was a great experience.
In that process, though, how many times did sort of the direction or the idea kinda change, or was it more just, like, similar to your dad, like, figuring out the beats and where to go and, like, "Oh, this needs to go," because a lot of times it's like, "Take this over here," and you're like, "Oh, it changes everything."
Yeah, we moved stuff around. The story stayed the same for the most part, but we found a lot of ways to add depth. I think one of the things we talked a lot about was how making sure that every time we jumped back into the theater to show my dad performing, it was intentional and it had some kind of connection to where we were at in the film,
Totally, yeah,
where we were at in his life,
yeah,
what the tone was at the time, and making those impressions push the story forward and not just jump in there and say, "Hey, oh, by the way, here's another cool impression that he did."
yeah, yeah.
And
No, it matched exactly where his journey was in his life
yeah,
that within the
and I
story,
feel
yeah,
like
it's
we were
great.
able to add some thematic messaging in there and really use it as a bridge to kind of transition into new parts of the film, but also put a stamp on what I'm trying to convey or to
Yeah.
say for that portion of the film. And that was something that I really enjoyed doing. I knew I wanted to try to do that, but working with Jamie and Kate, they helped quite a bit with that. And I'm very happy with the way that we've been able to weave that in.
It was so well crafted. That's why I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, no, this is a son trying to tell a movie about his dad. This is gonna be long."
Oh, dude, I think I might have said this earlier, but our first cut was like 3.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah. No, totally. That's what I was expecting. I was
Yeah.
like, but it was so well crafted. It was such great storytelling, and it was so intimate, and it just like I cry a lot. It was personal to me because, I think every son has that journey with their dad, and, it's just really good, dude.
Thank you
It's
so
a really good
much.
job. How is the screening? You're at Austin Film, Festival right now.
Yeah.
How's that going? How's the screenings, and have you screened yet?
Yeah, we screened on Thursday, the
Okay.
24th, and, it was great. We screened at the Rollins Theater at the Long Center,
Oh,
and we
nice.
had, a really good turnout. I think, we had a really good turnout. I had some friends in town that came. I brought my family. My mom's here, my sister's here, my wife and our 2 kids are here.
Did they
So
come up for a Q&A or?
no, they didn't actually make it to the screening, they're
Okay.
just babysitting the kids, but
Okay.
I wanted to have them here just for support and to celebrate and all
Yeah.
that, but the screening was great, everybody's very engaged, very moved by the film, people coming up to me saying, "Oh, I loved the film, I saw your dad 20 years ago,"
Wow.
or people saying, "I'd never heard of your
Yeah,
dad,"
yeah.
and and I
I
f
didn't know
a
I didn't know about
and
him.
I feel like I do now, and I
Yeah, yeah.
feel like I watched his show, and,
Yeah.
that kinda stuff is just
I mean, the
makes
Larry King stuff, like, all that stuff, it's like, how did I not?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Larry King saying that my dad was the greatest
Mhm.
entertainer of all time, that's that guy
Yeah.
talked to everyone,
Everybody. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everyone,
Every
and
legend,
then
yeah.
on top of that, he put my dad's idol as number 2,
Yeah, yeah.
Sammy Davis
Yep.
Jr.,
Yeah, totally. That
and
was such a beautiful moment when you played that, and it was like and that was his, like, sort of North Star.
mhm.
And then he realized what he wanted to do. What have you noticed? Let me see, we got a couple minutes. What have you noticed that was different about how the when you film it for an audience, you're like, "I didn't think they were gonna laugh at that. I didn't think that moment was gonna work." Like, or
Mhm.
it worked differently. Like, what was your experience in front of an audience?
Um I didn't really have a lot of those thoughts of not knowing if it were gonna work or not. I just felt like this great sense of pride and happiness when I would hear the laughter,
Yeah, yeah.
when I would hear a
Like, it
joke
worked.
a
This
joke
worked, this
work,
worked. Yeah, yeah.
and in a moment of, a little somberness or
Yeah,
sadness,
yeah. 'Cause you can f like your
hearing
dad, you can feel
yeah.
what the audience it's weird, man, because you can, like, totally feel what everyone's going
Yeah,
through.
like, there's no rustling of paper,
Yeah.
nobody's moving in their seat, it's just, like, everyone's locked in, and then you hear the sniffles,
Yep.
and it's just great to know that
So
that
rewarding as a
I'm
filmmaker.
the vision that I had, the intentions that I had, y like, a year ago in the editing room are now being seen by people in a theater, and it's working,
Yeah.
and that's a great feeling, and
It's
then
such a great feeling.
and being able to get up in front of the audience after the film screened and hear really thoughtful questions,
Yeah.
people genuinely interested to learn more, and, it's very cool. I love this festival. I was telling my publicist earlier, I was like,
You mean that one right there?
"Yeah." I was like, "I gotta make another movie to come back
Oh, yeah, for sure.
because
I mean,
this
that
is a cool one."
it'll definitely give you the bug,
Yeah.
for sure. So, speaking of which, what is up next for you?
So, I've been writing a lot lately,
It's, like, fucking perfectly cued.
yeah. I've been writing a lot lately. I have a script that I'm really hoping will be my next film, and, I wanna use this opportunity to kinda pivot into, directing narrative features.
Okay.
So I've got
'Cause
a
you produce mostly, right?
yes, yeah, and I think I've learned a lot as a producer, but I wanna make my own stuff. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the process of directing this, and I really enjoy writing. So this next one's it's a crime thriller, and I wanna just, sink my teeth into it and kinda bring a fresh perspective to a genre I really love,
Dude,
but
it's like my guilty pleasure.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love I
Dude,
love a
so I
good
started with
crime
Lethal
thriller,
Weapon, Tequila
crime drama.
Sunrise, Sicario, like,
Yeah.
Narco I just love it, dude. I love it.
So hopefully, I can get some good momentum out of the festival and get some distribution that'll help me get this next one up on its feet.
Interesting. Okay, cool, man. Anything to promote?
Just the voices, man.
Okay.
Voices, the Danny Gans
Yep.
story.
And right now, it's sort of behind the curtain until you get it out?
Yeah. I mean, you can find us on the website,
Okay.
glansrock.productions.
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram, Gans
Trailers on
underscore
YouTube.
Andrew. Yeah, trailers up on YouTube. It's out there.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
Such a good job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, dude. I truly, truly enjoyed it, and I love documentaries, and it was a pleasure to watch.
I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah.